Okay, all right, we're just a couple minutes after, so I wanted to start by saying good afternoon. My name is Jackie Peralt, and I'm the director of the Jacksonville Women's Business Center. I have a team member with me online today. Her name is Georgia Pinner, and she is our coordinator. Georgia, you want to say hi?
Hi everyone, so excited to be here and hear from Susan. Can't wait to get started.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We see some familiar faces, so thanks for those of our supporters who are coming out today to listen to our workshop. This is our quarterly forum with the North Florida District Office, U.S. Small Business Administration. I have Thadeus Hammond on the line as well, and he oversees the Women's Business Center organization for North Florida, and he'll have a couple minutes to talk here in just a moment. What I want to do is kind of just give a brief introduction of the Women's Business Center. Some of you may have seen this before, so maybe a refresher. But for those of you who are new to us, I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of who we are and how we fit in the community. Our mission is dedicated to expanding the entrepreneurial and economic growth of women business owners and leaders in Northeast Florida. That's important because we not only just serve the women business owners, but we also have programs structured around executive leadership and what that means when you maybe take on a new management role, or perhaps it's the business owner who's trying to build their team. So that's kind of who we serve and how our mission is stated. In the past 2 years, and especially during the pandemic, we have embarked on a digital transformation. And our theme in these past 2 years has really been around building businesses through innovation. You'll see that kind of demonstrated through the new offerings that we have and capabilities like this, doing webinars for everybody. So real quick, just want to have you look at this slide to understand who we are and how we serve. We are one of 4 women's business centers in the state of Florida, and we're one of actually over 120 now women's business centers in the country. We're in all states and territories except for Alaska, and we have a open grant right now actually to put a women's business center in Alaska. So that just goes to show that we're all over the country. The Florida presence that we have is really strong, and we actually collaborate between our centers. So it's nice that we talk and we actually share some of our programming. And with that, I think we allow a platform for our business owners to, again, share referrals and do business together in the region. We, as the Jacksonville Women's Business Center, cover the 7-county region, which is of Northeast Florida, as the counties listed there, but we are not limited. As we know, during the pandemic, we've adopted the digital transformation, and we have allowed ourselves to better serve the Panhandle, better serve West Florida, Tallahassee. We also serve south of us to Gainesville. The closest women's business center to our center is going to be in Space Coast. So if you can imagine, there's a lot of gap area there, and we do a good job referring clients back and forth, but also making sure those who are not necessarily near us still receive that support in those rural areas. We have 5 core programmings that we offered as outlined: venture leadership, customer development, financial matters, marketing matters, and legal matters. If you complete 4 out of the 5 core programs, you receive your entrepreneur certificate with our Women's Business Center, and we have awards recognitions in the spring and the fall. We also give out a pin that distinguishes you amongst these networking opportunities that shows that you are a JWBC graduate. So that's something that you can look forward to accomplishing with us, as well as we host special events. We do the quarterly forum with the SBA. We also host networking events through our Society of Small Businesses. And later on in March, with Women's History Month, we're going to have a celebration and a panel discussion. Real quick, I just want to show you this organizational chart for you to kind of better understand where we fit within our home, if you will. So the Chamber Foundation hosts the Women's Business Center. So our office is within the Jack's Chamber building downtown Jacksonville. There is a division within Jack's Chamber that oversees a lot of the entrepreneurial growth and the development of entrepreneurs in our area. That division is called Venture Services. In there, you will find 3 different programs, and Jack's Bridges is one of those components you may have heard of or been a cohort graduate. Called to Innovate is for those innovators and entrepreneurs who have something to be able to introduce in an innovative way to a case study that has not been implemented yet. And then the third kind of pillar under Venture Services is the Women's Business Center program. I do want to mention again that we're not limited. We serve men in our workshops, and we often have them attend as well. I do want to mention that, we have a online classroom, which is learn.myjackschamber.com. After today's session, probably tomorrow morning, George is going to send an email out and you will have access to review today's recording with Susan's presentation as well as the presentation. So if there's a slide you really want to just look at again, you can do that. And you'll have an access to an ebook, which Susan's going to share later. This is an example of what that online classroom looks like. You're going to get guest credentials, but it kind of just gives you a glance of what to expect once you get in there. As mentioned, I did say that we have a Society of Small Businesses. If you're interested in learning more about that, that's kind of our networking group. What makes us different, I would say, is that we also go to the small business organizations and their place to network. So for instance, for the March event that we have, we're going to be going out to Suited for Success in Arlington, and Share Monday is actually going to host all of our members of Society of Small Businesses. You can see those logos on our website, but we're going to host a networking event there and understand what she does for the community. The last couple things I'm just going to mention is Hyper-Connected Mentoring, which is a feeder program for what is Athena Powerlink. Athena International is a program that it's an internationally recognized program, which we have rights to offer a leadership style mentorship program. And that is what Athena Powerlink is. These are the 8 principles of guiding what Athena International believes that warrants for these panels. If you kind of think about yourself, you probably resonate with at least 1 or 2 of these words or phrases that are on the screen. And this is really what helps us warrant that mentor year-long panel. This is a little bit more about Athena, and as mentioned, you'll get this PowerPoint, so you'll be able to see this overview as well as scan the online application. With that, I just wanted to mention we are on the majority, I won't say all, I'm sure there's some I don't know, but the majority of the mainstream social media platforms. You can find us. We have a LinkedIn company profile page, an Instagram, a Twitter, and a Facebook page. So please follow us, like us. We also promote our newsletters every Tuesday morning. Those come out. So if you are signed up for today's workshop and you're not receiving our newsletters, we'll make sure that your email gets in there and you receive all of the information. It's not just workshops that we offer through the Women's Business Center, but we're also good stewards of promoting the press releases that come out from the SBA, as well as other resource partner events. So that's kind of a fast and furious overview of the Women's Business Center. I am going to toss it back over now to Thadeus. And I want to introduce Thadeus. He has been an extreme mentor for me, a great oversight for the Women's Business Center program, and he has a wealth of knowledge for all SBA programs. He oversees more than just the Women's Business Center, so he's going to share that with you now.
Thank you so much, Jackie. I am wondering what happened to the screen here, so bear with me.
You're all good.
Okay, I keep grabbing the wrong item. Well, in the interest of saving time, I won't share because I can't find it. So let's stop that. That's okay. Well, thank you so much for that introduction, Jackie. I will not go to my screen. I don't know what happened here. I was trying to pull this up and it will not allow me to share. So I'm just going to talk from here. I'm Thadeus Hammond. I am the Supervisory Business Opportunity Specialist for the North Florida District Office's 8A Business Development Program. Some of you have heard about the program. It is an executive level training program for socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. But today I'm just going to walk you through some of the programs and services offered by the SBA. First and foremost, we always like to mention the fact that our wonderful relationship with our resource partners is first and foremost. So thank you, Jackie, for the plug. It's always great working with you in the center over there. And so our resource partner network is second to none. We have an award-winning group of resource partners, starting with our Jacksonville Women's Business Center. Their technology is actually enabling them to have a much wider reach than the servicing area that they have right now, which I think is 7 counties, right? So, but now with the technology that they have, they can really reach you. So any woman entrepreneur out there, if you have a need, certainly plug into the Jacksonville Women's Business Center. We also have SCORE, used to be known as the Service Corps Retired Executive. SCORE is another resource partner, and primarily they help you with business startup and business planning and things of that nature. SCORE is an all-volunteer network of resource partners. So where they used to be known as the Service Corps Retired Executives, they're no longer just retired executives and retired business owners. They are current executives and business owners as well as retirees. So there's a great mix now. And so they engage in all of the social media platforms and the like. So a great group of folks who carry the message, business startup and the like, growth, expansion, access to capital. They provide that as well. Another resource partner is our Florida Small Business Development Center. We have 4 in the region, one here at the University of North Florida. We have one at the University of West Florida in Pensacola. Florida A&M University is our outfit in Tallahassee. And the folks in Orlando have the Florida Small Business Development Center at the University of Central Florida. They provide a number of startup resources for your business as well, but they also have some data analysis tools to help you move your business along, and for those of you who are growth oriented. For our veterans out there, our veteran community, we have the Veteran Business Outreach Center, the VBOC. Brent Peacock and his group do a phenomenal job of preparing you to go see Jackie and her folks at the JWBC or SCORE or the SBDC at either one of the campuses. So our folks are, matter of fact, Brent, last year, they were honored again. They received the National VBOC of the Year Award for the second time. So the second time they've received that honor. Great group of folks. They really hone in on our veteran community and just a tremendous job. Oh, by the way, Jackie, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there is a new VBOC coming on board in the South Florida district. So Brent doesn't have to cover the whole state now. So I think next year sometime,
awesome.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it is. It's great news, especially for those folks in South Florida. Just the way we're situated here in the North Florida district office. He covers the state, but we have 43 counties up here. So now he'll just have this area. So phenomenal resource. We also provide access to capital for those of you in need. We have 2 flagship programs, the 7A and 504 loan guarantee programs, predicated on the relationship you have with your financial institutions. So if you have an interest in funding your business, please seek out your financial institution first. First and foremost, before we can get to a yes, we can help, the bank has to say yes. So if we don't have anything to guarantee, then there's nothing we can do. So start with them and make sure they understand what your needs are prior to you going to them for that loan, right? They need to know who you are and what you're doing before you ask for the loan. And that's important. That's why, just like as in business, relationships matter. Those relationships matter on the financial side, the lending side of the house too. If you don't qualify for one of those conventional loans, we do have our SBA microloan program. So we have a microlender network that will work with you. And unlike the conventional loans, you don't have to apply for the microloan program, right? Kalina Shirley is right here in Jacksonville, and she can help walk you through the process. But if you have a desire, you have a need, and you meet the requirements, you certainly can qualify for the microloan program and go through that training program with them, which is predicated on management and technical assistance, and your desire to see it through to the end. Outside of our access to capital, our wonderful resource partner network, we also have, and I won't spend a lot of time on this, grants to some degree. We have, if you're engaged in research and development, technology, and that sort of thing, we have the Small Business Innovation Research Grant Program, as well as the Small Business Technology Transfer Grant Program. So if you have some sort of technology you feel can scale in the open market, please feel free to reach out to us. There are 12 federal agencies that manage the SBIR program, and there are about 5 or 6 that manage the STTR program. The SBA is not one of them. So reach out. We can certainly get you to the right agency based on your need. And disaster, anytime there is a federally declared disaster, once that declaration is made, here for us in the South, the Field Operations Center East team, the FOSSI folks out of Atlanta, they're dispatched to the site of that disaster until you're made whole. Now, it doesn't matter whether you are a business owner, a homeowner, or a renter. You can be made whole through our economic injury disaster loan or physical injury disaster loan based on what the need is and what the declaration says. But if you are a renter, you can borrow up to $40,000 to replace the contents of the apartment or home that you are renting. If you are a homeowner, you can receive up to $40,000 to replace the contents of your home and up to $200,000 to replace the home. There are some insurance issues aside. I mean, if you don't have insurance, then of course you get the loan. And two, if you are a business owner, you can borrow up to $2 million to replace your business after disaster. So those are our disaster programs. And I say the best for last, and that's something near and dear to me, something I do every day, and it's a federal government contracting program. The federal government we spend about, let me make sure I'm not running out of time. Am I okay on time, Jackie? Okay, so the federal government, we spend about $600 billion, billion with a B, on goods and services every year. We buy everything from apples to xylophones. If you make it, produce it, or service it, we buy it, believe you me. In the North Florida District Office last year, in our area of responsibility, we did over $500,000 in sole source or 8A offers. The year before, we did $900 million. That's only because the pandemic kind of cut us short. So we're getting back on track with our programs. One of which is the Women-Owned Small Business Program. We have a program designed specifically for women-owned entrepreneurs, and we produce or conduct webinars every other month on the Women-Owned Small Business Program, as well as our Hub Zone and 8A programs. As with any of our federal government contracting programs, as long as you are owned, managed, and control that enterprise by at least 51%, you're a U.S. citizen, then you can apply for certification for the Women-Owned Small Business Program. Hub Zone, same thing, own, manage, and control the enterprise by at least 51%, U.S. citizen. But the catch on this one for a Hub Zone, which is historically underutilized business zone, is what a Hub Zone is your business must be located in a Hub Zone, and 35% of your employees must be employed by the Hub Zone firm. So as long as your primary place of business is in a Hub Zone and 35% of your employees reside in a Hub Zone, you're okay, and you meet the minimum qualifications. You can always go to the Hub Zone maps to make a determination as to whether or not you are indeed in a Hub Zone. And if that's the case, you may want to make an application, and that's at www.sba.gov/Hub Zone. And just go to the Hub Zone maps. It'll take you about a minute to populate that field where your address is located. And it will tell you if that box is gray, it says you're Hub Zone qualified, then that's the first step. Service Disabled Veteran Owned, we don't manage that program per se. It is a Department of Veteran Affairs program, but come 1 January 2023, it will come under the SBA banner. So we will have all 4 socioeconomic government contracting programs. And last but not least, our flagship program, the 8A Business Development Program. I'm going to lean in and whisper this one because I don't want everybody to know about it, Jackie, okay? The 8A BD program is wonderful, right? It is an executive level training program for socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. As I stated earlier, it's a 9-year program. It's a self-marketing business development program. And it's a wonderful program that helps you grow and learn and understand how to manage the maze of federal government contracting. Before I go, I just want to let you know there are 3 ways in which you can, in terms of key benefits for the program, in which you can be awarded a contract. And so this is the analogy I'll use. If you like fishing, or if you know about fishing, out in the ocean, in the Atlantic out there are millions of fish, right? There's all kinds of fish out there. Same thing with competition, federal government style, right? So you've got large businesses, you have medium-sized businesses, you have small businesses, you have 8As, You have women owned, you have economically disadvantaged women owned, you have service disabled vets, hub zones, and the like. Well, that's a lot of competition. So it's hard to gain traction. Well, in the 8A program, we take you out of those shark infested waters and put you in that little pond back there behind the Jacksonville Chamber. There's a little pond over there somewhere. And we put you in that pond and there's no competition. The only competition is you, right? So you, and it's predicated on the NAICS code or North American Industry Classification Code that you bring to bear. So no matter what industry you're engaged in, you're not going to have a lot of competition in the 8A program in this district. I think I mentioned earlier, we did about 500 million in contracts last year. We're on target to do about 750 million this year. We have 117 firms, and so about 80 of those firms are actively engaged last year. So a lot of opportunity. You know, you can be awarded a contract 3 different ways: through the sole source, $250,000 to $4.5 million, competitive 8A, where only 8A firms can bid, and under the SAP threshold, where only you can market your services to the agency and be awarded a contract without bidding against competition. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Thank you for your time. That's mine. Thank you, Jackie.
You are awesome, Thaddeus. Isn't he so cool? Thaddeus knows everything there is to know, and he's such a wealth of knowledge, and makes it, I feel like, easier to understand than to just go out and do the hunting yourself. While he was talking, I put a bunch of links in the chat. So take a look at those. We will also make sure we download the chat and provide that in the classroom for you guys. So with that, I'm gonna let Susan kind of share her screen, and she's gonna talk a little bit about herself, but I do wanna just preface some things. First of all, she's a great friend of mine, another really awesome person to know. And Susan is just somebody that makes you feel better about what you're doing and feel the confidence that you need to feel inside. I think that's something that we all could use a little bit of. I know myself, I can be my own worst enemy, especially right now with the pandemic. You're second guessing things. And I think as business owners, it's hard sometimes to find the right community to talk to about what we're doing. So we hope we're giving you this space to do so. So Susan is a longtime facilitator and volunteer for the Jax Bridges program. She's facilitated and done workshops at JWBC, and she's also a Jacksonville Women's Business Center Society Small Business member. So with that, Susan, welcome. You guys also put your questions throughout in the chat, and Georgia and I will do a good job answering them if we can, and if not, we'll have Susan jump in as well. So.
All right, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for taking time to come and join us today. Can you hear me? Everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Can I get yes in the chat? All right, good. Well, as Jackie was saying before, the JWBC and the SBA have a lot to offer. And one of the things that, of course, they focus on is leadership and leadership development. Well, that's my wheelhouse. I am Susan Appleton. I'm the CEO and owner of Appleton Communication, where we make your communication better. So through coaching all the way up to strategic planning, corporate workshops, business workshops, we provide you with avenues to understand the absolute value of relationship development and communication, and how those seemingly intangible things make your business the most tangible and the most profitable. So we are all about the people side of the house, those conversations you need to have, those things that you have to do with and through people to drive your business. The foundation of Appleton Communication is really based on helping women leaders. I also service men. They come with corporations, but I love to empower women and to give them tools to elevate, their communication, their leadership, and to lead exceptionally well. We are going to talk today about merging strategy and people to elevate your leadership impact. Your leadership impact. No matter what part of the spectrum you stand on in terms of leadership at this very moment, I want you to think about where you were before today as a leader in your space. If you're a seasoned leader, if you're just starting off, we were not all where we are in our knowledge, in how we lead. If you're like me, I'm totally different from who I was. I've always been a leader, but I didn't always know how to lead. I didn't understand what that meant. The person you see today is competent and confident, you know, and I don't have all of those insecurities, but I'm not the same person that I was 15, 20 years ago, where all of those things that I just mentioned existed. How did I get here? I met mentors. I met other leaders. I met people in my circle, for me, mostly women. And of course, like I said, a few good men who helped me to understand the value that is exceptional leadership, and that comes through people, you being the first one. So pause and think, how did you get to the level of leadership that you are? Who helped you along the way? Because chances are slim and none that you got here by yourself. And so as a leader, it is up to us to recognize that it's a growth process. It's a development process. We are charged to lead others in whatever capacity you're in, whether you're a business owner or what I call my corporate loves. If you are in leadership, then whether you want to say it or not, you are a leader of others. So those persons who helped you to get to where you are, the people that you work with, your colleagues, the people that you have as employees, the staff that you have, they're expecting you to be that for them. And so that's what this is about today. We're here to learn to become more excellent leaders, exceptional leaders. Being good isn't good enough. Being great on a basis, sometimes maybe, isn't good enough. You have to be consistent. And with consistency comes exceptional leadership. So welcome. I'm going to share my screen. I don't know if everyone can access it, so I'm going to load it again. Along with our presentation today, you all have an ebook, which I just populated into the chat again. I'm going to share the screen because I want you to understand the mechanics of it. It's not that deep, but I do want to go over it with you. Perhaps I might want to open it first. There it is. Okay, so can you actually, you'll be able to see it if I open it from the chat. I'm going to pause that. All right, can you see it?
Yes. You
And
see your whole computer background with the PDF open.
Everything. Okay, so it accompanies the PowerPoint. So we have our opening page. I've got a bit of encouragement there for you. One of the things that is almost a requirement for me from persons who I either work with personally or directly, you know, with corporations, whether it's one-on-one or multiple, is that you come to win. You decided, you made a decision to spend your time today here. I want you to make the most of it. This is an opportunity for you to learn. It's also an opportunity for you to give, because we are a community. And so be ready to be involved in the chat. Be ready to answer questions. You can put information in the chat. You can offer your input, because that's how we collectively grow. So that's what's on this second page. And then it is an opportunity for you to take notes from the presentation. The reason why I put that ball in your court is because you know what points resonate with you. You know what you need to take down. You recognize the areas that are going to be most advantageous for you. And so therefore, you're in charge of taking your notes. It's also because you're the leader and you have to take responsibility for your own learning. So no, I didn't give you everything that I'm going to say. As we go through the PowerPoint, this is just what that is. You have extra spaces for notes. And then we've got some worksheets. So that is your work along or something that you can have for future reference. All right, so now we're going to get into it. Jackie, if you put that question, the poll for me. So we put a question in the chat, the poll, asking, have you heard of the human business model? We still have some interest coming in. All right, I think we're done. So I'm going to share. And we have 58% that says, no, they have not. And 21% says, yes, they have. So that's great. I have some people in the audience who can help those of us or those who are unfamiliar with the human business model to understand what that is. The first thing that we're going to cover is the human business model, which most of you do every day. You just don't know that you're doing it. And so the thing to think about when we go over that is, how can you become intentional in practicing that? And for those of you who don't know or think you don't know, once we go through it, you'll be, oh, that's what I do. It is a relationship building tool. And if you don't remember anything else from this presentation, take that with you. We are going to talk about the qualities, the things that people-centric leaders do. And what I mean by people-centric leaders is we are talking merging strategy with leadership. And every organization that is long-standing, long-term, valuable, and who mitigates all of the things that come with excessive people problems are people-centric. It starts from the top and it transitions all the way down to the bottom. And so that's our goal here, is to help to better understand, what does that mean? What am I doing and what can I do better to get there? Whether you own a business or if you're in a corporation, you have the power to change things. If you are in the leadership space, you have the power to change things. If you are on your way to a leadership space, you have the power to change things. You've just got to determine that you are going to be the change agent. And so we're going to talk about what that is, the courage that it takes to be that person who is willing to go against the grain. What does that mean? How does that solve the issues of the workforce? What does that bring to the bottom line of the organization? And then how do we close the gaps? We've got some statistics out there that tell us a lot about leadership. All statistics are not bad, but we do have an opportunity to close the gaps. And so we are going to discuss that as well. And then what is the bottom line? The bottom line is not just money. The bottom line is about what is the end result? What is the thing that we are trying to do as leaders? That impact that we are trying to generate. I always say on every presentation, this is not the Susan Show. So please use the chat and let's grab and let's go and let's grow. So a larger percentage of us than the rest of us don't know what the human business model is. The human business model, which was created by Shannon Johnson and her husband, Ken, many, many years ago, says that every interaction, particularly business is what we're talking about here, but it's universal, business and personal. But every interaction has two components, the human level and the business level. The human level is designed to fulfill human need. The business level is designed for us to accomplish business objectives, to get it done. I want you to notice the line. The arrow here says that all conversations, all communication enters on the business level. And then you dip down in on the human level. Then you dip into business and it's an ebb and a flow. We go from the human level to the business level and we exit on a human level.
Hey, Susan, we have a question in the chat.
Okay.
So Safa says, does people-centric leader mean you put people's interests before your own? Like the book of Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last?
It does mean that you put, I'm cautious to say, put people's interest before my own. Mm-hmm. I think it's an equal thing. When I consider myself part of that, as a leader, I don't think we abdicate our right to be a part of that puzzle. People-centric is putting people first to a certain, it's putting people first, it's thinking, it's being conscious of how what we do as leaders impacts those persons. Don't forget about yourself in that puzzle though, because when we do that, if we do that without including ourselves, then we have a tendency to, at the end of the day, sometimes resent what we gave to others. So love Simon, he's wonderful. And yes, but don't forget about you. Does the bottom line mean the why? It's not the reason why you're doing what you're doing. When we talk about the bottom line, we're going to talk about the things that are absolutely key as leaders for us to create that long-standing impact that we want. There's a different portion where we will talk about what is the why. Did that answer your questions? Can they unmute themselves, Jackie, or no? Okay, great. All right.
If anybody does want to ask a live question, I'll mention you can use the raise hand and we can give you the microphone. So just know that as well.
Wonderful. So the human business model, you enter the conversation to satisfy a human need. Then you move to business to satisfy the needs of the business. And you exit the conversation to satisfy the human need. The trick is the middle. Give you an example. If someone has been working with you for a while, as a leader, you should know some of the things that are important to them. I don't have any pets. I don't plan on having any more pets, not even a fish. Okay, so, but my colleague may love pets. what we can do better as it relates to the human business model is, how many of you can attest to coming into the office and the first thing someone's asked you is, hey, did you get that plan finished? Are you working on that project that we talked about? Or you as the leader, you are that someone and you're asking that question. And then I say, good morning. You didn't acknowledge the human part. So entering a conversation on the human level is something as simple as, hi, how are you? The trick, you have to pause and wait for me to answer. I'm well, how are you? I'm fine, Susan. Remember the project that we had to have on Friday? How's that going? We entered in on the human level. Then I dipped you down into business when I asked you about the project. And you say, oh, it's going well. I am doing these 3 phases of it, and I anticipate that we're going to be done on time. We're in business. So now we're flowing. And then when it's done, I said, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate the dedication that you're putting to that. We exited on the human level. What can also happen is we enter on the human level. Hi, how are you? And this goes for written communication as well. You know, the texts we send, the emails that we send. If I am sending an email to my girlfriend, that's great that I don't say, hi, how are you? But if you're sending an email to a business colleague, you should greet them first and not just, as we say, start talking. So the scenario where we have difficulty with the human business model is we get caught up and stay too long in either area. Too long on the human level, too long on the business. Hi, Susan, how are you? I'm doing well. How are you? Well, my dog died. And, you know, I haven't been able to get past it. And I go on and on about my dog. The job as a leader is to do what I call a soft exit, to acknowledge that my dog died, and then pull me back down into business. Oh my, I'm so sorry that your dog died. I know that he meant a lot to you. It doesn't take a lot. It's just acknowledging the feelings of the person. And then, are you going to be able to still take care of the project that we've been working on, considering that it's due on Friday? Oh, I don't know. I just feel so bad because, so you see how they're going back up to the human level? You and I both know we can't do that for 30 minutes, 40 minutes and still get things done. So at some point, you've got to make a determination. How are you going to handle the business piece and not offend the person on the human side? Now, what I get people asking me is, well, I don't have time for all of that. You know, I'm in leadership. We have things to get done. You know, if the dog died, and I want to say something to you. You're in leadership. And yes, I just admitted we can't stay there for half an hour sometimes. However, it is our job to take care of the people that we lead. And you must make time, because you know why? If you make time to acknowledge that my dog died and how much that means to me, then I am going to make time to figure out how I need to get the project done on time, or I'm going to be honest enough to tell you that it is just not going to be able to happen. If you have that relationship building piece, you can come back and say, Susan, I am really sorry that your dog has died, but we're out of time. We don't have the luxury of waiting, or, you know, unfortunately, we can't wait. How can I help you during this time to make sure that we can get it done on time. You notice, I didn't say get it done, Friday's the deadline, dead dog or not. That is not relationship building. That is not an effective use of the human business model. And it is not going to get you that person to give you their best. Because the dog has died, give them grace. Who else can help? Think. Merging, who else can pick up a piece of it? Can you do it if no one else is available? Can you step out of the leadership role and lead and help them to get through it? But think about how to do all of those things so that the person feels valuable and that they're not just this person who comes in at 8 o'clock, leaves at 5, and anything in between is all about business. You can do all of that stuff when you're out the door and on your own time. We can't do that. It doesn't make you fluffy. It doesn't make you a pushover. Let me tell you, it makes you one of the strongest leaders around, because you know what? After the dust is settled and you need something done, oh, they're going to do it for you. And they will do it excellently for you. And they will give you the extra time to do it. And they will participate in the project and give you input on it because you took care of them. That is what people do through the human business model. And I want to say it's Safa said it correctly. If you show that people are human beings before talking work, they'll feel appreciated. And this is one of the things I meant when I said, one of the things that we want to learn from this time together is to be courageous. Because one colleague is going to say, you know what, you spent way too much time on that, and I don't understand what that all was about, and we have work to do. And they are not going to appreciate what you did. Your boss might not appreciate what you did if you're not that person. But guess what? That person that you did that for, you are developing a relationship, and relationships drive business. People drive business. And if you take care of me, I will not only take care of you, but I'll take care of our customers as well. So the results of the human business model is when you enter into the communication, be very intentional. That's what I want you to take away. For those of you who know it, and now I'm sure some of you who didn't recognize, oh, I do that. The next step is to intentionally go in. 1, being prepared to acknowledge the person. 2, being prepared to listen. Don't just rush by it. And 3, being prepared to practice that skill of dragging them down to the business, because that's what we're here for. I love you, but we've got to get things done. How do you get them to the business, pull them back up, and exit out so now everybody can go? Entering on the human level, you're showing signs of respect. You care about me. Good evening. Again, doesn't always have to be deep. How's your mom? Because you heard me in the hallway last week talking about that my mom was ill. Hey, Susan, how's your mom doing today? Oh, she's doing great. Whatever. Moving to the business to satisfy the business needs. By consciously and intentionally doing this, you can be very clear about what the business needs are and how you need to get them there, how you need to get there. And then you open a two-way conversation, because most times we're asking for people to give us something And if I can be a participant in that giving, then I'm more likely to do it with you. And guess what? For you. When you exit on the human level, again, satisfying the human need, now you've started to develop relationship. That is the human business model. Now that we have talked about it a little bit, just put in the chat, me, how many of you think that you do this regularly and that you're going to commit to do it better? Yep, absolutely. Wonderful. Everybody's committing to do it better. And that's the purpose of us being here. To recognize what we do. Manisha says she does it regularly. And that's great. She actually does. She's pretty good at it. All right. Okay, so here's where you want to get your notebooks out. If you haven't printed the ebook, maybe you didn't have a chance. We are going to talk about people-centric leaders. I didn't say leadership because leading is personal. Being a leader is personal. I'm depending on you to do just what your title says, to lead. All of these are actions that people-centric leaders do. Do we do them to perfection every day? Absolutely not, because we're not perfect human beings. So I want you to free yourself of that. Just free and let it go. None of this is going to be done to perfection every single time. The goal is to become consistently better, consistently dependable for the persons that we lead. People-centric leaders lead communication from bottom up and top down. Most leaders are here, right? We have levels of business. We know that. And even if you're a business owner and it's just you, you are leading all of the parts that are connected to you. Whether it's a spouse, a significant other, the children play a part in it, you are leading, if nothing else, your customers. So all of this applies, even if you're in a multi-million-dollar huge corporation. Communication is the absolute top soft skill. How you do it, how often you do it, who do you do it to, and what do you use to do it? Do you know, as a leader, how to communicate? Understanding that bottom up, those persons who I call foundational, the foundational people, the secretary, the assistant, the person who may be guiding the customers. Those are the foundational people. They have a lot to say. They're actually doing the work. You know, we get to wear the title, and we do work, don't get me wrong, but they are actually doing the work. And so they have value, and what they say has value. When was the last time you stopped to someone who I call foundational? You can call them on the ground floor, whatever you call them, but you can't call them just those people. Because without those people, even the janitor. You couldn't do what you do. When was the last time you asked one of them what they thought about something? How's it going, Jan? Or do you go into the office every day, walk through the ivory doors, say good morning and keep it moving? You pass by Jan, and I've seen this happen. You pass by Jan, you say hi, and Tim is right there, and you go and have a conversation with Tim. But you never stop beyond saying, hi, Jan. Yet she's the gateway to the customer because she answers the phone. She's the first contact when they come through the door. We have to create value along all levels of the communication chain. People-centric leaders understand that, and they spend time with people who we think, I don't want to say less of, because we don't think of them as less as people, but not as important. In team structures, every person has a perspective. And again, I'm going to say this, and I'll probably say it 1,000 times. None of this makes you a soft leader. This actually makes you stronger, because you know why? One of the things that this does is it builds community around you, so you don't have to work so hard all the time. People-centric leaders communicate from the top down. They understand the mission. They're big thinkers. They can stand on the balcony and see and understand what's happening on the balcony and be able to push all of that down to the dance floor. It's a wonderful book. It uses the analogy of moving off of the dance floor as a leader so that you can go up to the balcony and you can see better and you can lead better from that perspective, or lead more effectively, depending on, where you are. But communication. When I say communication, I mean also what's not said. We've all heard of body language. Body language is another word for behavior. You communicate with your behavior. Saying you have an open door policy, but never actually giving credence to what I say when I come through the open door to contribute, your behavior says, yeah, that's not true. Your mouth says you have an open door policy, but your behavior says something totally different. When we're talking about strategy and people, we've got to understand that strategy is not planning. Strategy is taking all of the pieces that are in the organization and making all of those pieces work collectively to get to generally a financial result, or to move the needle toward planning all the pieces that we use to get there, right? If you don't remember that how you communicate and what you communicate and the whole aspect of all the people that are participating in that are part of that strategy, then that's where you falter. So when you say you have an open door policy, remember, I'm expecting to walk through the open door and at the very least be heard. You don't look up from your computer. Yeah, I'm listening. I'm paying attention. That's what you're saying, but you're actually not paying attention. Because not once And so I come in and I do that all the time. And then all of a sudden I stop. It becomes less and less and less. I'm disinterested. Your actions have shown me that what I say doesn't mean anything. You never tell the supervisor about my ideas. You never bring them up in the team meeting. We never have any further discussions. And so you're not communicating to me and I'm not communicating to you. And I'm coming in at 8 o'clock, I'm leaving at 5, and I'm taking my breaks and my lunch and don't expect anything else from me. Anybody ever been in that environment? You've been in an environment before. Chat, type me in the chat. We've all been in that environment where we wonder why people just come in, do their job, and go home. Across the hall, they come in early, they're staying late, they're laughing and joking and having fun. At the very least, they are communicating to each other where they're being heard, sender and receiver. Yes, one-way conversations are the worst. People-centric leaders, y'all hear me on this one, please. And you heard my Southern accent, a New Orleans accent on that. Can be vulnerable without abdicating their leadership role. At the beginning, I asked you to think about how you got to where you were. If you don't recognize that you are stronger than when you started, I'm stronger than when I started. I don't have to abdicate any of that. I don't have to give up my leadership role to let people in on who I am. Vulnerability goes hand in hand with communicating and letting someone know that you're not just a title. Every day, straight to the point. You don't laugh, you don't joke. So therefore, you're setting a standard where we can't laugh and we can't joke. You're not vulnerable outside of what you do and as a leader on that hat. So guess what that does for you? That pushes you or keeps you in the land of ego. So anything outside of that is an affront to you, right? But and becoming vulnerable is like, in my culture, sometimes we'll say, I don't want people in my business. I don't need to be in your business, but can I know that you have a dog? Can I know that you like ice cream, but you like it in a cup and not a cone? That comes from little conversations that we have, or you dipping in. You don't have to stay long. The key is not becoming familiar. That's your role. You control that. Yes, it's completely different. Vulnerability, someone wrote in the chat, Sapa, is completely different from oversharing, completely. Do I want to know what you did last night every step of the way? No, ma'am, no, sir. I don't want to know that from a leader. I don't want to know that from a colleague either. But I do want to know a little bit about you. You as the leader control the narrative and you set the standard. So lighten up. Let people know a little bit about you. Not a lot. Never let it become to the point of being familiar. And what I mean by that is anyone who I've ever led and still have relationships with now, they know then, they knew then, and they know now. You cannot become too familiar. We can share with each other, but you can't spend 30 minutes doing it. You can't spend 50 minutes at the water cooler. I need you to get your work done. You see that? I love you. But we are here to take care of business, right? People-centric leaders, and you'll see I have some of these words highlighted. They put in time and effort to cultivate a relationship, because they build trust. And I love the word cultivate, because it's like a seed. It's a little thing, and then you plant it. If you water it, it'll grow. If you don't, it won't. If you prune it, you know, the other pieces will come out. And every time along the way, every time you do that with a relationship, you're building trust. I am telling you, you will get more when I trust you. And I will give you more of me. I will let you know what I want. You will be able to ask the questions for me as well. What I do is I help leaders to accelerate their success and the success of people that they serve or lead. You're not an island unto yourself. And it's not all about you. Cultivate getting to know me. Build a relationship like a building block. When you do that, accountability becomes less stressful. Holding someone accountable for doing something that they shouldn't do, or that team member who needs to be addressed because, quite frankly, their lack of production is a detriment to the rest of the team. But the leader doesn't address them because there's a fear there that if I address them, then something will happen that is not going to be supportive of the team. Meanwhile, the team is saying every single day that Susan is not doing her part. But you didn't cultivate a relationship with Susan that gives you the courage to go in and say very clearly, very professionally, Susan, you're not doing your part. Stick with the facts, leaders. Don't just tell her she's not doing her part. For the last 3 project deadlines that we've had, you've missed them. The work that you've turned in is 50% of what it should be. I have to pitch it back at you on average 3 or 4 times. When you have a relationship, oh, you can be hard, yet soft. Like, get it done. You see, I'm smiling, but I mean for you to get it done. But I have that relationship, just like when you are doing well, I can tell you that. I'm going to save the best for last. People-centric leaders develop others. And what I mean is create opportunities for indirect growth. You don't have to always be in the development of others, like with your hands in it. If I know that Georgia has a skill of writing well, and Jackie is doing very well in her job, but she has an area of growth in writing. If I can get her to improve her writing, she is going to be able to not just give me what I need more consistently, but it's going to catapult her as well, because that's the one piece that she's not doing. I, as the leader, may not have time to do it, but Georgia can become a mentor. Georgia, I can pair them 2 together and one will feed the other. Georgia's goal is to help Jackie to improve her writing skills. Jackie's goal is to learn. Georgia develops her leadership skills. She develops her communication skills. Jackie develops her listening skills. She develops her accountability skills. And together I, the leader, I did that. I created indirect opportunities for growth. Yet on the other hand, Jackie is doing phenomenal. And I have been where she was, and I can see her going up the ladder. I can see her moving forward. I can see her, I'm a business owner, but I can see her, she's my assistant. I can see her transitioning to being the website designer and the assistant coming on at a different time. I can see that. So I'm going to take on the responsibility as a leader to mentor her. I still have all of my work. I still have to drive the bottom line of the organization, but I am willing to do what I need to do for her. Because guess what? She is going to either grow with me or without me. But what better impact will I have if I help her to get to where she's got to go? That's leadership impact. That's elevating your impact. People-centric leaders are confident in what they know and what they do not. Know what you know and know what you don't. Be willing to get help for what you don't. And most of what you don't know, people around you do. A lot of times people without that hat can help if you just ask and pave a way to learn. People-centric leaders learn from their past successes and their failures. How many of you have ever had, I've had bosses, I've been in the military, I've had wonderful positions. I had one position in my life where, yeah, I had to get away, at least I not, come out with a good mental capacity, because they were crazy. But how many of you have had a boss or someone above you who never admitted their mistakes? Type me in the chat. Anybody ever had something happen that they knew that was their boss's responsibility, but the boss never accepted responsibility? Yes, 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 yes. So I want you to think about, how did that make you feel? How did that make you feel? You wasn't in the position you're in now. You didn't have the skill set that you have now. You were depending on that person during that time, perhaps even looking up to the person. Yes, felt like less of a person, frustrated, suffocating, isolated. You didn't trust them. When you do that, all of the other pieces that you did, they're gone. I don't trust you. Because if you can't accept responsibility for something you did wrong, guess what happens when I make a mistake? You don't have my back. You don't even have your own back. So how can I expect you to have mine? I'm not going to do it. We've got a couple more. People-centric leaders acknowledge their biases and work to change behaviors. If you want to have leadership impact on a different level, and I suspect you do because you're here, then I need you to hear me clearly. Stop telling yourself that you're not biased. We all are. Every single one of us. Just because you became a leader, or like me, learned how to lead, I still brought my biases with me. The key is to acknowledge them and then to change your behavior. I'll give you an example. And it's too late because you see me now. You probably saw me before you came on. But my name is Susan Appleton. If you had not seen me, there's a chance that some of you would think that I was not an African-American, natural haired, extremely dark woman. My name doesn't indicate that. And if I'm talking over the phone, hi, this is Susan Appleton, how can I help you? And then I walk in the room. This actually happened to me. So I use it. I walked in the room and I could see the person in their head, had they been able to say it out of their mouths, even in a semi-professional way, it would not have been good because they did not expect what walked through the door to walk through the door. And the whole conversation had the potential to change. Yeah. Oh, I thought you looked taller. Exactly. Yes. Yes. So my thing in sharing that is, would your bias, does your biases that you have prevent you from being an exceptional leader? Would your bias, has your bias stopped you from giving Susan the promotion, from giving Susan the opportunity to grow, from giving Susan the challenging times, for giving Susan grace for her dog that died and she got an extra day off? We are all biased. And if you do not recognize that, then you are not going to be a hugely impactful leader because you don't have anything to grow in. You treat everybody the same. Oh, I'm not biased. You treat everybody the same. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can, but you've got to know that initially, instinctively, culturally, you probably don't. You know, we've got people in the chat who, when Manisha says that they automatically assume because she's Indian, that she's a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. Cultural bias. It's not enough to say that we work in a diverse organization. We is you. And we cannot get to a better place if you don't acknowledge that you have bias against your coworker. You will not lead well if you have a bias against the introvert person on your team. I'm an extrovert. I think while I'm talking, I'm figuring it out. And if I expect everyone on my team to be the same way, that introvert who comes to the meetings, doesn't say much during the meeting, and then a day later circles back to give me information, I'm thinking, if I'm working off of my bias, well, why you didn't say anything in the meeting? Because I'm expecting her to be chattering in the meeting. And I'm like, you do this all the time. This is actually me, I've had to learn. You do this all the time after the fact, but it is not after the fact for her. It is after she processes. But my bias said, well, if you didn't say anything at the meeting, you must not have had anything to say that was worthwhile. So see how I think about her being an introvert affects my ability to lead her, or could, if I didn't have knowledge about how to lead introverts. And then last but not least, people-centric leaders know that exceptional internal customer experience is the first priority. Internally, what you do will reflect externally. You want to have a less of a revolving door, treat people right, give them value. Some people will still leave. But if you give them value, you'll see your sales go up. You'll see your retention go down. You'll see your morale go up. Your absenteeism will go down. Your contribution and the time that it takes for a project to get done will go up. You appreciate with a card or a hello or something like that. Work-life balance, when you have that in your authority to do. Your customers will be repeat customers. I'm not making it up. Statistics say anything you do internally will be a reflection of externally. Most of us are here in Florida. Can I say Chick-fil-A versus McDonald's? Internally, from the top down, they breathe exception. They treat each other well internally, and every time it flows out the drive-through. How much do we hear about people complaining about their jobs, their leaders? And we go to that organization and we get crappy service. It's not rocket science. It's a direct connection. So if you want an increased bottom line, if you want less turnover, if you want to grow your business, if you want to increase your sales, start to treat people like they are the ones who are making you what you are. And they will give that to your customers. Uh-oh, sorry. Oh, why are you going that way? Thank you all so much for hanging in there. We've got a little bit more to go. Be the change agent. Change is our life. If we didn't learn anything in the last 2 years, you know that word pivot that we didn't have 2 years ago? Pivot was a change. We had to. It had to be led. If you are comfortable in the place where you are as a leader, if you're good with doing it the same way that you did it prior to today, you are not going to elevate your leadership impact. Be the change agent. Be the one who tries new ideas. And how do you merge people into this? Remember, the strategy is the big picture and all the pieces in there matter. How do you bring people into this? One of the ways that you bring people in is you create a collective. So if this part of the organization is moving to the left, and this part of the organization is moving to the right, and leadership has to change, or circumstances have to change, and we're used to being in our respective areas, the left or right, someone has to start to say, hey, we've got some things that are changing. So the people over here on the left will have to start to partner with some people on the right. And it's a scary thing to be able to have to lead that change. Everyone's not going to want to do it. One of the tools that you can use to your advantage is to explain why. Why are we changing? COVID was evident, but we still are in a virtual world. We're on a virtual webinar. But your expectations are the same. Your expectations are that I'm working from home and my children shouldn't interrupt. Well, they're 7. I don't have children like that. I have a 26-year-old, but they're 7 and they're 6 and they don't understand me being in here for 2 hours. And guess what? I'm a single mother. So at some point, you may get an interruption. It never stopped me from being professional. It never stopped me from delivering. But you got a problem with it. Tell people why. Why change is necessary, what the change is going to do for them. Help them to understand clearly, and they will move from buy-in to commitment. Buy-in can mean, I really understand it, I really am with it. Yes, I'm all in, I'm 100% in. Sometimes though, buy-in is just the surface. Oh, okay, that's what we're doing, all right. I don't get it, but that's what we have to do. That's buy-in. Also, commitment is, I clearly understand what's in it for you, what's in it for me, and let's go. We deal with adults. Adults don't do because I said so. Why? Why is it necessary? And not in a, and I want to say something to you about when you're asked about why, or when you're asked a question why as a leader. That's not a judgment against you. Step out of your ego. I am an adult in a professional environment who is looking up to you. If I ask you why, and I do it in a way that is right and good, help me help you, then help me. Now, if I come to you and I say, and we know the difference. Well, why are we doing that? And why do we have to do that? And why are we, all of this change? And, there's a way to handle that. But giving people enough information to get them involved in the process, it only benefits us personally, it benefits them, and it benefits the organization. Be the change agent and embrace innovation. How do you embrace innovation? Embrace input. We are in a multicultural, generational workforce. Millennials are 75% of the workforce in 2025. I remember when they first came into the workforce, and I did an 8-hour class on generational differences because I don't want to work with them and I don't feel like working with them and they don't want to. Well, no, they do different. Guess what? Those they are the used to be baby boomers. So if you're stuck, then get unstuck. Because the way that they do, the way that they lead, their expectations are completely different from your baby boomers who work right across the hall. For those who own businesses, your customers cover all of these demographics. So whether you're a solopreneur or you have a few customers, you still are dealing with the same thing that they deal with in a corporate environment, but from a customer perspective. You need input on how to handle Joe, the customer who is 65, who is dealing with a millennial at the front desk. But Joe's needs are different than millennial to millennial. You have to be able to know that Susan, or she has the skill set to make Joe feel as comfortable as she does someone of her age range. You've got to get into what that change is. What do people need at their level? And surprise, surprise, as a leader, you are charged to give it. You are charged to learn it. You are charged to figure it out. You don't have the luxury of saying, I don't want to, and still be profitable, and still get promoted, and still move the organization forward. You can't do both. When you embrace the input of others as an active change agent, everybody becomes more effective. The people, the skills, the systems. I mean, I was reading an article earlier on TikTok. I'm not gonna TikTok. I ain't tweeting either. I want to do all of that. But I'm aware of the technology. I know how it works. I choose not to get on TikTok. But if I had to, I could do it tomorrow, because that's how things are moving. And that is the nature of the workforce. So you've got to be a change agent. And then you have to assess what you're doing. Is it working? If it's not working, be ready to pivot, be ready to change, be flexible, because you know what's the difference? One of the major difference between strategic and planning. Planning is set, strategy is flexible. Because if it's not working, we will adjust it. We will not just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as planned. Strategy is innovation. Strategy is being flexible, because the end goal of moving the organization forward has never changed. So we move and we change and we be flexible, and you have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to be questioned and challenged with your ideas. You just have to make sure that I, Susan, who you lead, understand that I can't come to you any kind of way. Not only can I not talk to you any kind of way, but train me to come to you with facts. Expect me to come to you with things that are going to move, that are going to partner with you. That is going to elevate your leadership impact, because you recognize that it's not about you. I think it's Jack Welch who said, I don't know it exactly. He says, when everybody's a leader, or becoming a leader is about you, but when you begin to lead, it's about others. This is that. This is that. And that's what I suspect, we want to do here, is to become better leaders of others and ourselves. Always starts with you. Always starts with mindset. I am of the mindset that I am an exceptional leader, which means I have things that I do well and things that I do not. Change. This will be on the PowerPoint, the visual here, but not in your guide, your ebook. But what this talks about is the emotions that are involved with change. Our own emotions, but again, because we are the leaders, not only do we have to acknowledge and manage our emotions, but we have to manage all the emotions of everyone else. It can be heavy. You have to have an outlet for yourself. I can't tell you what that is, but I am going to tell you that you have to have it. Because all of these things may be available in those persons that you are leading. Thaddeus is at the SBA, Jackie, there's levels to what they are doing. There's levels to the people that they are serving and those that are coming through the door, and things change. Not just COVID, I'm talking leadership changes. Something in the business change that had nothing to do with an external environment. whatever it is. I changed from one position to the other, or a team member of mine changed. All of these are always moving pieces that affect us emotionally. Am I asking you to become a psychologist? Absolutely not. However, understanding that emotions are a huge part of whether we get to where we're going after the change is critical. Because one of the things that I've had to do before is just stop movement on the project. Let's talk. I don't mean talking for fluffy's sake. I mean, yes, like Safa said, self-awareness, awareness of others. What is going on? Because have you ever had a leader, a coworker, or even a friend who you didn't know who was showing up today? Anybody in the chat? Me, anybody? Today, you're my great boss. Tomorrow, you're my boss who, I don't know what happened. The next day, I don't know who I'm getting today. Anybody been there? Okay, so I must be by myself. That's what this is. When you don't have control over, like how the wind blows, your attitude changes. One day you're amicable, and one day, I asked you the same question literally yesterday and today. And I got two different people, two different circumstances. And I'm thinking, huh? Or someone else asked you, and they got a totally different response. I got this, and they got, oh, sure. Who are you? This helps you to understand some of the things that can come with change, and how we as leaders have the responsibility to make sure that we slow down generally, especially when you're on the sad, mad, scared side, and help our people to get over that. And meanwhile, taking care of ourselves, and how to control the exuberance of the calm, happy, strong, so that it doesn't override our need, our absolute necessity of getting things done. This is in your, this one is not. And the reason I didn't, because it's statistics and statistics change, but I wanted to introduce this to challenge you to close the gap. We have the ability to close any gap. Under skills development, that is 83% of employees or employers saying that skills development, leadership development is critical to the organization moving forward, yet only 5% of the organizations are doing it. How can you know and not do? You may be in an organization where the 83%, we know, well, of the 5%, perhaps you're not in the 5%, but you can still be someone who closes the gap. For me and you and our team, and collectively we can make that impact. We already talked about millennials are 75% of the workforce in 2025. They learn, they contribute, they move differently, but I'm gonna give you a clue. They smart. They are innovative, and they do not leave a job every 2 to 3 years. They leave jobs when they don't feel like they are being developed, when they are not being challenged, when they are not given the ideas to be able to bring forth. When they are not valued, they leave. And by the way, people don't leave companies unless they want to grow. If I'm a small business owner, I don't have the opportunity for Jackie to go up the ladder because my business isn't there yet. She's sharp. I've given her everything that I can, and she's ready to move forward. Then my leadership impact is her leaving. That's wonderful. Where are you going? How do I help you to get there? She's not leaving me. She's leaving because there's nowhere for her to go. When people leave you with all the opportunities, all the advancement, potential money, yet they still don't want to work for you or at your company. People leave people. 79% of employees say that they lack appreciation from those that they work for. Change that narrative, close that gap. Be that one genuinely who gives appreciation to others. It doesn't have to be big. I'm trying to say, becoming people-centric can start with little acts of kindness that do not make you a soft leader. Anybody that I've ever worked with will come and work for me today. Anybody. And if I choose, I could go back because I knew how to, and because they did also appreciate me. Now, of course, it wasn't everything. We're not children here saying that it's all about being happy and hunky-dory, but it plays a huge part. %45 say that they are satisfied or extremely satisfied with their job. So all statistics aren't bad. Your people hopefully you are, or you can be in that 45%. I like my job, my choice of what I am doing. I am extremely satisfied getting up on a Monday morning and doing what I have chosen to do. 72% today of the workforce is looking for a work-life balance. If COVID didn't teach us anything, it taught us what is important. In my contribution to the Daily Record, I wrote about that. If you are a leader who no longer sees that work-life balance is extremely important, you are going to be left behind. Expecting me to work in lieu of, in spite of, and in all circumstances at the expense of what I think is important, you're going to be left behind. You may not be in a position to give someone a 4-day work week. That's fine. That's not necessarily the life that we live. Everybody. But expecting people to give you everything outside of the fact that they have things outside of work is unrealistic. Stop that. Stop calling me at 6 o'clock or sending me an email at 6:00 p.m. I'm home. I'm with my family, or I'm not, but I'm off. That's a little step that everyone can take. Cut it off when it's time to cut it off. Because whatever you're asking me to do, I'm not going to do it till in the morning. So why bother me? Because you're up 24/7. Yeah, put it in your inbox and let it sit until 7:59 a.m. That's respecting work-life balance. So see, it doesn't have to be a 4-day work week. It has to be respect for the fact that everyone is not working 24/7. And actually, neither should you be, but that's just my take on it. I'm trying to get to a 4-hour workday. That is my goal, a 4-hour workday. When you close the gap, you really develop an us versus them culture. You know them leaders, those people, they and us. Through collaboration, through mixing things up, through understanding the schedules of everyone, you can create a them, a us versus them. I gave the example earlier between Georgia and Jackie. Close the gap. She has a need, she has a skill. Let's collaborate, let's put it together. They think us, we, our team. We have a leader who's part of we, not them and they. When you close the gap, you get appreciation. And when you give appreciation and get appreciation, you're developing loyalty, trust, and you're adding value. I will take loyalty and trust every day over someone who can do a spreadsheet in 5 minutes to an extremely excellent level, but I can't trust her to check the numbers. She's just putting stuff in. I'll take someone who takes an hour to do that same spreadsheet, but she is detailed. And I don't have to look at her numbers as closely because I trust her. I've made sure that she has the skills that she needs and she knows that she's appreciated. Yeah, she's going to do it. She might take longer, but she's going to do it, right? To close the gap, you lead by example. One of the series that I'm doing with a partner of mine, one of the things that we talk about is do what you say you want me to do. Yes, I'm the leader. I am, and I have more responsibility. Understand that I come from a leadership space. I've done leadership for the Florida Highway Safety Motor Vehicle. I have done leadership for Racetrack Petroleum. I am not saying anything about or negating the demands of leadership and our responsibilities and everything that we have to do, not by any means. But what I am telling you is when you want people to do something, you make sure that you are willing to do it. You may not have to, but lead by example. If you don't ever want to pick up a trash can, if you don't ever want to get your hands dirty, whatever that is, not necessarily always physically getting your hands dirty, but if you don't want to give more than what is required of you, then do not expect others to give more than what is required of them, because the requirement is that I come in on time, I do my job, I just meet the basics of the job description. Because see that fluff about and all other things as assigned? Yeah, no. Legally, you can't do a whole lot of stuff outside of what's assigned. So you lead by example. And that's how you close the gap, because you develop a standard of excellence that I'll replicate. You don't have to worry about it. Remember that thing that we used to say, people don't go on vacation. Like they don't go on vacation, don't take any time off. They don't trust that it's going to get done, you know, and they come back, they're going to have to do all of that. Well, guess what? You are not leading by example, because if you are leading by example, you can go on a 30-day sabbatical and everybody will take care. They will make it their business to make sure that when you come back, nothing missed a beat, because you closed the gap. I just followed your footsteps. I mean, our names are leaders. Our titles are lead. That means somebody's following. You also have to be a follower. But you got to lead by example. The bottom line, leadership is a responsibility. And expanding, and I've got news for you now. You guys know I know how to do all of the soft skills. I love that. I've built my career on it. And I can tell you to very nicely and professionally that you suck. I can. But I'm telling you, if you're going to expand your impact, you are going to have to take leadership seriously and as a serious responsibility. That starts with you. You have to have the courage. You have to have broad people skills, not basic people skills, not basic communication skills, not basic whether you're going to use your introversion or your extroversion. You're going to have to know what skills are what. You're going to have to know what that is for your people, not basic anything. If you're going to expand your impact, and you're going to have to be an active participant. If you want me to participate, I didn't say do my job. Anybody can do their job, but do you want to roll with it? I mean, we coming in, we coming in hot, and we are running the organization to maximum. You're going to have to take that seriously. Train and develop talent across the spectrum. A little piece of talent, a lot of talent, hold people accountable for what you have taught them to do, but create a culture where they support each other and where excellence and empowerment is a norm. You're doing a great job. Thank you so much for tackling that extra project. I appreciate that you came in on Friday at 8 a.m. You know, empowerment, positivity. It's not fluff. It's really real. When I know that you believe in me and my ability, and that is a culture, oh, we taking names. Say what you want. Some people leave, but Google is thebomb.com. That's a culture. How did we get to the place where people say, when you want to look for something, I'm going to ask you, I'm asking you, the audience, a question. When you want to look for something, what do you do? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat for me. What do you do when you don't know about something and you have to look it up? What do you do? Yep, you Google it. You Google it. That's a culture. One person, yeah, Alexa or Facebook. One person didn't do that. Collectively, leader after leader after person after person after, and what did it do? It trickled down to us, the customer. And now it's just what we do. We Google it. They trained across the spectrum and created a culture that externally we grabbed, and it's just the norm. People work for people they know, like, and trust. We say customers buy from customers they know, like, and trust. Well, I'm your first customer. because I work for you. And if I know, like, and trust you, man, look at here. I got you. So remember, your external success is a direct result of your internal success. If I don't like you, I don't like you. I don't like you. I don't like the job. And guess what? I'm just biding my time until something else comes along. And if you push me, I'll leave you with nothing to depend on, but I'd rather do that than to be with you. People work for people they know, like, and trust. Be that leader. And this is one of mine. Every contact is a contract. Every contact is a contract, not financially right away, but is an opportunity for high impact relationship development. Every hello, every time you stop to greet someone, every time you invest a little bit off of your leadership time into someone else, you are developing a relationship. So every time you network, you are getting a contract, because you keep in touch and you make sure that you push that thing forward. It's a contract. You are saying that I am going to develop a relationship with you. The people that you work with, the people that you work for, you've got to be able to know that every time you interact with someone, you're creating a contract. So those are the bottom lines. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank Jackie and the JWBC. I want to thank Thaddeus and the SBA for the opportunity. And I want to thank all of you who took the time out of your maybe work, maybe after work day to join us. Again, I'm Susan Appleton. If you would like to hire me for services, my contact information is there all across social media. I am at Appleton Communication. I would love to connect and to learn more about you. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Excellent. Thank you so very much, Susan. That was fantastic. I definitely learned a lot throughout that and was laughing along the way. So thank you so much. Thank you for those of you that were able to engage throughout as well. That's a big part of this, even in a virtual world, using the chat. And I love how Susan, in her speaking, has people kind of communicate that way. It makes it feel more real. So with that, Georgia, as mentioned before, she is going to put everything together, send an email out for the online classroom. When you close out today, important for us is there's a feedback form. So please take a minute, fill that out. We'll take a look at those. There's a spot on there as well for future programming. If there's something you're looking for and you haven't seen it yet that we offer, let us know. So please fill that out. If there's any other questions, I'm going to take a look at the chat. We'll hang out for just a second. See if there's any
I'll be
questions.
glad to answer any questions. Oh, let me mute. Sorry.
No, you're good. Let's see. I think there's a lot of awesome. Thank you. Worthwhile and useful information from Thaddeus. Thank you. And again, also we will share Thaddeus's contact information. We'll download the chat really quick. I'll do that. So that has a lot of those links that I shared earlier when he was speaking. So we'll make sure that gets in there. If you're still here and you want to put your contact information, your business, LinkedIn account, put that in the chat too, and I'll download it so everyone has everyone's contact info. Not a question, but Safa would like to invite you for collaboration someday, Susan.
Across social media, and my information is on the screen. So if you want to call me, Lord, I forgot my number, 832-600-1828. And it's Susan at Appleton Communication, no.s.com.
Awesome.
We have quite a few things coming up on the radar. Hopefully you guys on the JWBC webpage. Have you stopped recording?
I will stop right now.